Greetings internet, it's Monica, and today I am so excited because I am here with a very exciting, very large book haul, and I'm just so excited for all of these books. This is a collective book haul from over the past few months of books that I recently purchased and was sent, and I'm also doing a very exciting unboxing. So quick info moment. I am one of the reading hosts for Penguin Teen's Fall into Fantasy Readathon, and I'm so excited. So I am going to be partnering with Penguin Teen for a couple of videos this month, including this one. I am so incredibly honored to be part of this readathon. It's their first readathon, and to be one of the hosts for it is so cool. And especially to be a host for the book that I am a host for, which I will get to in a second. It's so it's just like such an honor because it's a book that I love so much, and it's the sequel to the book that I love so much. If you would like to participate, the readathon goes from November 18th to November 25th, and there are a bunch of different challenges which I will share in a second. So if you're in the US, it is over the Thanksgiving holiday. If you're not in the US, then it is a week in November. But I have this box of books from Penguin, and these are the different books that different readathon hosts are going to be hosting for the duration of the readathon. Now, there are a bunch of challenges for this readathon, the main one being just read 4 books over the course of the week, but each host is also going to be sort of hosting for their specific books. You don't have to read any of these books, but if you would like to participate with one of the hosts or anything along those lines, then these are the books that you will want to check out. So let's dive in. To the top, we have some fancy penguin wrapping paper and a button that says, "Penguin Teen, we are what you read." That's cute. That's funny. Oh, I'm tearing the wrapping paper. Not that I'm gonna save it. So we also have at the top a pin for Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix by Julie C. Dow, and it is in an apple with a bite taken out of it. That's a little bit of a hint. I mean, it's a giveaway. It's really a giveaway of one of the books in here, not even a hint. So the first book in this box is Beast Made of Night. This is a book that has been on my TBR for so long. Ever since it came out, I've been wanting to pick this book up. So this is a Nigerian-influenced fantasy, and it is basically about sin eaters, like people who are able to extract sins from others, and they come out as in the form of a beast, and then these mages are able to slay those beasts and thus taking the sin away from the person. However, the mage ends up they have to live with the sin. They have to remember it, and so a lot of people go mad from it. And it sounds super fascinating, the world of this and the whole concept. And it also has a very beautiful cover, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, this has been on my radar for so long, and very exciting. The sequel is also out, and it is Crown of Thunder. So really excited for that. I'm not going to say what this one is about because I have not read this one and don't want to spoil myself or any of you, but really excited for that. Then in the box is Give the Dark My Love by Beth Revis. This sounds really interesting. It takes place in a magical academy, which is just, I am a total sucker for. I love a good magic school book. This follows our main character Nedra, who is trying to pursue medicinal alchemy, and in this world there is this plague happening, and so she's trying to study this form of magic, and I just think it sounds really quite interesting. And I love a good academy, magical academy book. That is everything I love in life. Then we have The Brilliant Death by Amy Rose Capetta. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year. Ooh. These end papers are so pretty. That's so nice. Oh, I'm excited for this now. I mean, I was excited for it before, but I'm even more excited now. So this is a YA fantasy that features gender fluid characters. It's by an author who identifies as demigirl, and I think that's amazing. I'm so excited for this one. Basically, this follows Theodora, who is a Strega, which is basically like a magical person in this world, and she comes from like what is basically a mob family, and she turns her family's enemies into inanimate objects like music boxes. And then she meets Silo, and Silo is a Strega who can effortlessly swap back and forth between male and female, and they show Theodora sort of like the what could be achieved if they really, you know, hone in on their magical abilities. And it, you know, follows them as they're trying to rescue Theodora's father, and it just sounds super interesting, and I'm very excited for this one. It's been on my radar for a while, so I think this is definitely going to be one that I end up reading during the readathon, along with, of course, my own book. Then in this box is this like stunning new cover for a favorite book of mine, Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. I love the paperback cover for this. I think it's so simple but beautiful. I adore Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. If you have been watching my channel for a while, you know that. This is a retelling of the Snow White story, but from the perspective of the evil queen. It's a sort of villain coming of age story. And it's so good and twisted and such a fun read. I loved this main character. I loved this story. I loved how it was ruthless but fun, and like you understood this villain even while they were doing horrible things. But it's such a good read, and it is East Asian inspired, which I love that. I love that representation in there. So yeah, I'm so excited that this book is being featured during this readathon. And then along with that is the book that I'm hosting for, which is Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix by Julie C. Dow. This is the sequel to Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, so if you have already read this one, or if you're planning on reading it soon, or if you want to read it at the beginning of the readathon, then you can read this one with me. And I'm so excited to read this. I will definitely be posting all about my reading process of it on Instagram and Twitter and all of that. This is the sequel to Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, and this is sort of like the Snow White story. So basically continuing on from where that last book left off and seeing where those characters go, introducing a whole new host of characters. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And this is a duology. So this is the end of the series, which I am so stressed about, but oh, and I love this cover. It's so beautiful. I think it goes so well with the new paperback. They just look so pretty together. So I can't really talk too much into the actual plot of this because it would speak to a character who is introduced at the end of this, but I'm very excited for it, and I would love to read it with you all. So if you've read Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, which I highly recommend you do, please join me in reading this because I think it's gonna be such a good time. And I'm honestly, like, full disclosure, so honored to get to do this, to get to like just celebrate a book that a series that I love so much and that I think is so important to like YA canon, and to support like this representation in our media. Like, that is so cool for me. So I'm really excited for that. So yeah. So yeah, those were the books from Penguin that I was sent. And again, you don't have to read any of these books to be participating in the Fall Into Fantasy Readathon. You just have to read books that go with the different challenges. So there are 8 challenges in total. The sort of overarching challenge, though, is to just read 4 books over the course of the readathon. And you can, of course, double up on challenges. So a book can, you know, qualify for more than one challenge. So the challenges are: read a new fantasy, read a sequel, read a diverse fantasy, read a book with multiple point of views, read an LGBTQ plus fantasy, read a book that's been on your TBR for too long, start a new series, and read a book that is Booktube recommended. So I will have that fully listed in the description box below, along with all the links and details that you might need if in case you want to participate in the readathon. And I will be posting my TBR later on in the month of November, and I'm just so excited for this readathon. Now I'm going to hop into some books that I have recently purchased. The first one is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. This is a novel by Hank Green. This came out fairly recently. I still haven't read it. I'm supposed to have read it because I'm like doing a low-key book club with a couple people I work with, so my bad. But this I picked up as my book of the month pick for the month, and I'm so excited for it. It's supposed to explore like social media, but from like this sort of sci-fi speculative fiction perspective. It's supposed to be very twisty, and my roommate Kaylee read it and she loved it, and so yeah, I'm very excited to pick this one up. I feel like you all probably are familiar with this book because it's been everywhere recently, so I probably don't have to wax on too much about it, but basically it follows this young girl who is like the first one to see one of these like Carl's things, and she posts about it on social media, goes viral. It sort of looks at like what that's like, but also there might be aliens. So yeah, and this one was actually sent to me. It's Pride by Evie Savoy. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but it takes place in Brooklyn, and it sounds amazing. Also, this cover is amazing. This next one I purchased because I read my first Claire Legrand book, which was The Cavendish Home for Boys and Girls, and I loved the writing so much that I just like knew I wanted another book by this author, and it is Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. This is about a girl named Finley who is dealing with a lot. It's a middle grade book. She's dealing with a lot in her personal life. Her parents are having a lot of marital problems. She's being sent to her grandparents' house. She's never been there. She's never met them before. She's having a lot of like blue days where she's just feeling really sad and she doesn't really know how to escape from that. And so her one form of escape is this sort of world that she has created in her notebooks called Everwood, which is like this forest kingdom. But she ends up discovering when she gets to her grandparents' house that Everwood is real, and she ends up like being able to sort of get lost into this wood. It's sort of this quest book of trying to save the Everwood, but also, from my understanding, is, you know, looking at her sort of sadness. It sounds just like really beautiful. Gave me like kind of Inside Out vibes, like not really, because like they're very different stories, I think, but sort of that whole idea of using one story but also like being able to talk about like mental illness through it, I think will be really beautiful. And this cover is, again, stunning, and I loved her writing in The Cavendish Home for Boys and Girls, so I'm really excited to read another book by her. Then I went to Albertine Books, which is here in New York City, and it is inside of the French Embassy in New York, and it's the most stunning bookstore I've ever been to, or at least one of the most stunning bookstores I've ever been to. The ceiling is like so celestial. You kind of feel like you're in Dumbledore's office. It's wonderful. But it's a French bookstore. They sell mostly French books, but then they also sell some books that have been translated from French into English. And one of the books that I picked up is A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos, and I have been seeing this book everywhere. It is Europa Edition's like first foray into YA middle grade, from my understanding, so there's a lot of buzz about this one, and this cover is just so stunning. So this book follows Ophelia, who has the ability to both travel through mirrors and also read the histories of past objects. And she ends up being promised in marriage to Thorn, who is a taciturn and influential member of a powerful clan from a distant arc, the Cold and Icy Pole. So I think these are the arcs, like they're basically like floating cities, and people travel between them. And this alone, like that concept alone, is like what sold me. But then also Ophelia sounds very cool, and all of the reviews for it call it like things like as mesmerizing as a waking dream and things like that, that just make it sound like very whimsical and beautiful, and I'm very hopeful for it. It's also quite chunky, so it seems like the perfect, I mean outside of the title alone, but it does seem like the perfect winter read. Then I have a stack of books that I was also sent. Most of these are from Simon Teen. The first one is the one I'm most excited for. It is Slayer by Kirsten White. I did not know this book was a thing, and I'm so excited for it. Basically, this is a book that takes place after the events of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show. It follows these girls. Basically, there are these academies where slayers are trained, and this follows Nina and her twin sister Artemis. One of them, I think they're both training to be watchers, but one of them ends up becoming a slayer or something along those lines. And it just, I'm so excited. I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and like the whole idea of like taking Buffy but then putting it into an academy setting, and as you guys know, I love an academy setting, is just everything to me. So I'm really excited for this. And I also like, I love Kirsten White's writing. I read a few books by her that I really enjoyed, so I'm excited that she's the one who is taking this story on. Then I was also sent Girls with Sharp Sticks by Suzanne Young. This is supposed to be like a YA, what's the word I'm looking for, Stepford Wives, where basically these girls are in this like boarding school where they're taught to be like the perfect girls, and I think it's supposed to be like kind of thrillery. And I have The Cold is in Her Bones, and this is a Medusa retelling, YA Medusa retelling. I don't know anything else outside of that. I don't need to know anything else outside of that. I love the story of Medusa, and I love the whole idea of like taking that story and retelling it. I think that there are a lot of like feminist themes that can be extracted from it, especially when it's modernized. So I'm really excited for this and very intrigued. Although I'm hopeful that there aren't like a lot of snake descriptions, because I'm not a big snake fan. So we'll see. This is one that interests me. It is A Sky Without Stars, and it is a sci-fi retelling of Les Miserables. So there's a lot here. It's very chunky. It's, you know, in the tradition of Les Mis, they did not mince words. I'm hopeful for it. Also nervous. Just because like Les Mis is so verbose and dense, and I'm like, I wonder how that is going to translate into like a YA sci-fi book. I'm just intrigued. I think that'll be really interesting, like how that story will be sort of brought into this. Then I was sent Crown of Feathers. By the way, these are all advanced copies. I just realized I wasn't giving like dates of when these things came out. So Sky Without Stars comes out March 2019. The Cold is in Her Bones comes out January of 2019. Girls with Sharp Sticks comes out March 2019. Slayer comes out January 2018. January 2018? So this is already out? I feel like that's inaccurate. Is this already out? Has this been out for like a year and I just missed it? Yikes. Anyways, Crown of Feathers. This is a story following these women warriors who are also phoenix writers, which sounds amazing. Like, this is a phoenix, and that's a woman on its back riding it into war. Some sort of fight of some sort. So this sounds really interesting. It's a story of sisterhood, about women who are powerful and power and love, and it just sounds really interesting. Crown of Feathers is an epic fantasy about love's incredible power to save or to destroy. Interspersed throughout is the story of a Valkyria Ashfire, the last rider queen who would rather see her empire burn than fall into her sister's hands. So that's sort of like interspersed throughout. But then you also follow Veronica, who is a war orphan and dreams of becoming a phoenix writer of the stories of old, and so you follow her and her story. So I'm really intrigued for this one. It sounds like it will be very, very, very fun. So thank you, Simon Dean, for sending all of these over to me. The last book I have is one that I actually like. I'm hoping one of you can tell me if I can read this or not. It is Courting Darkness by Robin Lefevers. The cover is stunning, but apparently this is like a spin-off from Grave Mercy. So I don't know if any of you have read the Grave Mercy book, if you're huge fans, if you know anything about this, if this is like a book that I can read without having read Grave Mercy, or if I have to read all of that first. I have like specifically avoided reading the back because I don't want to be spoiled for Grave Mercy if that's the case. Or is this like a Six of Crows thing where like it's super unrelated and you can read it and it doesn't matter? I don't know. But the cover is beautiful. It's a continuation of the Grave Mercy series, and that's all I got. So yeah, those are the books that I have recently acquired. Again, hope you guys will participate with me in the Fall into Fantasy readathon. Super excited to be partnering with Penguin Teen on this video and a couple others later this month, and just to be like hosting this readathon, which I'm very excited for. So excited to read Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix. This, I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am for this book. So cannot wait. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you did, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye!